All right. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Thank you for joining me on our discussion on NetApp Cloud Sync, talking about how to go and copy data up to S3. A little introduction on myself. My name is Jens Dickmeis. I'm a Cloud Solutions Architect with NetApp. I have been with NetApp for 9 years in various roles, from professional services to technical marketing and engineering, and now joined the Cloud Solutions team. I am part of our Cloud Innovation Unit based in Tel Aviv. So very exciting times for us over there, getting things built and making great solutions for you, our customers and partners. So let's get moving on to the next stage. So what I'd like to talk about is NetApp and our hybrid storage and what NetApp really is right now. So what we do is, everyone thinks of NetApp as doing data storage. We are a data storage company. Well, yeah, we sell disks, but really NetApp is a data management, data lifecycle company. We're more about making sure that you're able to go and manage your data no matter where it is and how you want to access it. And we are completely agnostic to whichever vendor you want to use. So part of that strategy is what we've created here with the Cloud Sync, is to go and allow you to go and send your data from any NFS3 out to the cloud of your choice, whether that is S3 in Amazon. We're hoping to go and get that out to Azure, or you can go and use another on-premises bucket for that. So Cloud Sync was created as a collaborative effort between NetApp and Amazon. Amazon recognized that NetApp is a leader in cloud data management and storage, and Amazon, they're very good at innovation. They drive change. Like, they're a disruptor in every industry that they've touched. So collaboratively, we've started working together to go and make changes to how Amazon is running their data transfer out to the web and how the things are done in a more efficient manner. So Cloud Sync was a collaborative effort between Amazon and NetApp. So Cloud Sync is a service. It is not a software that you need to go and purchase and install on your premise. It is a service that is provided through Amazon Marketplace. And how does it work? So Cloud Sync, you have an NFS or a CIFS bucket somewhere on your on-premise. It does not need to be on NetApp, even though we've used NetApp as a setup here in the image, but it could be any CIFS or NFS source. Does not need to be on a NetApp system. And we can go and push it out to an object store, whether that is StorageGrid, web scale, Amazon S3, hopefully coming up with services into Azure's cloud for that, for their block storage. And big things to go and take into consideration is that when you want to move your data out to S3, most copy times take a long time to send it up there because it's single-threaded. You're not always up to sync on all of it, and you need to be able to go and manage which pieces you want to send out there. You may not want to go and send everything inside the bucket that you have your NFS mount or your CIFS out there. So you want to go and be choosy about it. We allow you to do that. As I've mentioned, this is a service in the cloud. It is not an on-premises system. It is something you subscribe to, you set up, very easy to configure for you, easy to consume. And the restoration, very quick and easy to go and pull data back and have everything back the way you want it when you need it to be. And all the changes are done automatically. There's no intervention from you to go and manage when the data gets synced out to the cloud. So why would you want to use Cloud Sync over something like rsync? Well, Cloud Sync, it's a service. It is not a tool. It's not something you need to install. It's not something that you need to go and manage. You just log into it in the cloud and it sets everything up for you. You don't need to manually configure every step of it. You set things up once and then it uses your credentials as you keep going through to go and do everything you need. You're able to go and check out your relationships and see what is actually happening. If there's a problem, you can quickly remedy it. You can see how many relations you have. You can go and see what state they are in the various sync mechanisms, whether they are on a scheduled sync, manual sync process, all kinds of great information you can gather on that. Like I said, you can set the sync schedules to meet whatever your RPO and RTO objectives are in your environment. And it's very important that we take cost into consideration because, as we all know, going to the cloud can become expensive over time. So let's go and find ways to go and keep the cost down on it. We have a sheet that goes into the costing on that on our website, and we'll show some of that in another slide. Now, when you're doing the copying out to the cloud, quite often, if you're doing a copy, you can do one copy, then copy a whole nother copy over in the future to go and keep another copy. Where with Cloud Sync, we use a mechanism that goes and does a baseline and then incrementals forever kind of scenario for it. Now, does that allow you to go and have longer term retention capabilities out in the cloud? By default in Amazon, no. But if you turn versioning on, then you can go and have longer term retention policies on that and bring back older versions of it. Now, big kicker, it is very fast in comparison to other mechanisms. So let's compare it between Cloud Sync and rsync. So we're doing parallel operations where rsync is doing serial operations. So obviously with multi-threading, you're able to go and send data out there faster. But really, how much faster? Well, we're about one tick in and we've done 10,000 files with Cloud Sync and 1,100 files with rsync. We're 2 ticks in, 30 seconds later, we've got the entire 20,000 files copied over, and rsync has done 1,700 files in that same time period. Significantly slower. Where can you see this being used? Well, we've got a couple customers that have used this here to go and move their data out to the cloud. And they were having difficulty getting it out there because it was large amounts of data, large number of files. And by the time it got up to the cloud, it was already out of sync. So Cloud Sync was able to go and help them get up there fast, efficiently, and without a whole lot of overhead on their part. And they didn't need to go and set up their VPN. Very important. This can do it over an endpoint as needed or over whatever secure connection that you have. There's many different mechanisms for it. We had another company that was doing genomics research, and they needed to go and get the data out to be able to go and run analytics against it. And it had to be done very quickly so that it wouldn't tie up their analytics research on it. And so they used the Cloud Sync to go and get the data up there, do it quickly, easily, and a high volume of data from many endpoints. So this is all good, fine, and dandy. We've got all of that up there, but you ask yourself, how hard is it to actually set this up? Well, let's go and set it up. So if we go into our web browser and we navigate to cloud.netapp.com, there's all kinds of great information here. For those of you that have not gone there, we have some amazing resources under the resource tool that goes into videos on how to do things, some test drives, great information there for you. But let's go and look at our services. We have Cloud Sync service. So if we click on the Cloud Sync service, Then we click on try it now. You can get a 14-day trial. Really nice. So you click on the try it now. You can go and then say, I want to go and sign up to it and try it in AWS. And off you go. It connects you into AWS to go and log in for it. But I'm already logged in, so I already have a relationship created. But you know what? Let's think about this relationship. It's already here. But what if I delete this relationship? What happens to my data? Does that disappear, or does it stay up in AWS? Well, let's go back into my S3 bucket. I will refresh this. And for some reason, it's not showing anything in here. But my relationship is set up, but I might have set it into a different bucket for that. I'm not sure why that's not showing in there. Well, let's go and back here and confirm that. So my bucket is Jens S3 CS bucket, and my data broker is set up. But I've copied 419 files. We can go and delete this relationship right now. But before we do that, I can do a manual sync, or I can do a sync schedule like I talked about. I have it scheduled to go and sync every day, but okay, let's go and set it up to every hour. Very nice feature on that for you. But for this here, let's go and just delete this here, and keep in mind that there is 419 files in this bucket right now. So we are going to go and delete this relationship. So by deleting it, the data is still intact in both locations. So let's go back to my entire relationship here. So we have a option here to go and create a new sync relationship. Great, but what if I don't have anything set up beforehand? We need to set up a data broker. And to set up a data broker is fairly straightforward. There's a wizard that starts up saying, start up a data broker, and then it goes and asks you to go and put the data in. Where is your data broker going to live? What are your credentials for AWS? And what are your bucket credentials? But here, let's go and set up our source. I'm going to take a NFS server, and I'm going to go and send that up to S3 bucket. I could set it up to storage grid, but I'm going to send it up to an S3 bucket. We'll hit continue. So how the relationship, once it goes through that, it goes and tells you, I have an NFS server I want to send to. Great. So let's go and how does it make that happen? It needs a data broker to send it up to the S3 bucket. So nice representation of that for you. So now if I want to go and figure out what my NFS server is, I can go back and as long as you have the credentials for that, I at the moment don't have that off the top of my head, but I can go into my NFS server and I can go and grab that information. So my NFS server is actually on Cloud Manager. So I am going to go and copy that NFS information, go back into here, paste that in. We hit continue. We're going to go and have a data broker, which I already have created, and we're going to continue to use that. But here I'll demo just how easy it is to go and create another data broker. So we just click the button there. You can do a data broker on-premise or in AWS. For my scenario, I'm going to go and do AWS. We're going to call this data broker 2. If you're not sure on what you need to do here, we have a link on the demo video to go and walk you through that. So now it's taking me back over to my AWS. I need to log in. And let's see. So once it logs in, it brings up your template information on what it needs to go and launch this. You can specify template if you want to go and edit this one here, which you can view and edit this by clicking over here. And that brings up the JSON file and information on what needs to be done in this template. But we don't want to do that. So we'll just click on next. Again, we have the data broker name here. It takes the information that it knows about what we have. You take your VPC and you enter in your information there. Pick your subnet. Where's my demo subnet? Pick your subnet. Pick a key pair for authentication. And you can go and set up your proxy information here. You can set up tags for it so that if you don't want to go and have this shut down or deleted, you can put various information in there. And you can use an IAM role in there. It is completely optional. Or you can go into various other advanced features for it, for setting it up in your environment, for notifications, for your timeouts, if it fails, what to do on failure, and various policies. But we're not going to adjust any of those settings in that. Hit next. Now we can go through and have this create that for us. Acknowledge that you want to go and have this create the IAM role for you, that it's going to go and set up the environment for you and purchase those resources. Because I already have this up and running, because it takes about 15 minutes to go and create that, then you get the notification that it is complete. So let's go back to here. This has failed because it didn't create there. So we're going to just delete this guy. And we're going to go and choose our data broker. Once we've chosen the data broker, we can go see the relationships that we have on that data broker. I just want to take this data here. I could potentially take all of these other ones, but these are SIFT shares on there as well, and they are not set up currently for an NFS export access. They have no access available to them. So we'll take data 12 here, and now it's going to go and look for my buckets. As you can see, I have a ton of buckets in here. I am going to choose my bucket that's located in the same region. Hit continue. Now we can go and set up tag relationships. Again, whatever makes sense in your environment for easy search, manageability, you can set those up in your environment. So now you see we have our NFS server and directory being chosen on the one side and our S3 bucket on the other side, the data broker. All of these blocks have been filled in. We hit create relationships. It's going to go and show what's happening, and there it's going to run. Relationship is 100% created. We can view this in dashboard, and we can see that it is online, source, the target, and the data broker. We have 0.06 gigs transferred currently. Now, what if I want to go and create another relationship off of one of those other things? And we'll show you what kind of error message you'll get. Take the same source, same target. We use the same existing NFS server, same broker. And we're going to choose my Snap Info directory. All that same information is here for which buckets to choose. Now, because we might have a ton of S3 buckets, we can go and search for the one that you want by name or tag. Again, we are not going to set any tags on this, and we get the same information, and we have a relationship created. Go back to view and dashboard. This one will fail for us because it's not able to access that source because there's no permissions to that. So as long as you have an access permission that allows the user account that you've created in here to go and talk to that, you're able to go and connect to it. But this is just to go and show you information that is available for you. So why did it fail? It just failed to sync. So let's go and click on this here, and you get more information on what the actual cause is. And it says it could not mount that snap info directly because it is not exported properly at this point in time. So you would need to go and fix that. Again, you can keep going into a bit more information on that. And here we can see that there's an exclamation that says their mount has not been initialized. And why? Well, we don't actually want this going over there because it's data that I don't want to sync to it, but just for demo purposes. So we will delete that relationship, and we're up and running on that. So you want to get some more information on what's happening, you can go into timelines and see what was going on and what happened to the various aspects of what you were setting up. So you can kind of have an understanding of what's going on. But what if you're unsure of what you've created and what is wrong with the environment and you need some assistance? Well, no worries there. In the bottom right-hand corner, you have this little green bubble. You click on that and you can start a new conversation and ask a question on here and we will respond. This is done in real time. So here I'm going to do is, this is a demo test and send it. And Yuval will probably reply in a little bit and let us know what's going on there. This is manned pretty much round the clock, but depending on the timing, there may be anywhere from 1 to 2 hour delay on the response. All right, so let's get back to the presentation. So like I said, please go to the website, cloud.netapp.com, check out the various information that we have there. There's a lot of resources there. I'm a big fan of the video resources that we've created. They'll walk you through step by step what you need to do. And please take advantage of the 12-day free trial. The only cost to you will be whatever your S3 costs are going to be. Again, cloud.netapp.com. So please, in your questions section, put in any other webinars that you would like to see that NetApp can provide for you. Are you looking for more general cloud information, or are you looking for some how-to guides? And rate the webinar. We'd love to go and hear from you. This feedback is extremely important to us to go and help give you more content that makes sense to you. And as a special bonus to all of you that have attended, when you go and connect into the system, we have a bonus where we'll give you $100 AWS credit, 30 days of no-charge cloud ONTAP software to play with, and an hour of one of our cloud solutions architects time to get you up and running quickly. That's if you're in AWS. If you are in Azure, we have the same offerings. I will go and copy these here into the chat, but the deck and whatnot will all be provided to you afterward. And like I said, please check out the website, try the 14-day trial. It works from any CIFS or NFS source to your destination S3 bucket or the NetApp storage on that. We are working to go and add additional features to it. Please send us comments on what other sources or destinations that you're considering and what you would like to see added to this. Amazing solution for you. Go onto the marketplace and search for CloudSync if it's not there, or just go onto cloud.netapp.com. If you have any questions, you can email us at ng-netapp-cloud-architect-support@netapp.com. It's a long one. The link will be available to you. And now I'd like to open it to questions and answers. So please let me know any questions that you have, and I will go and see if I can answer them. All right, so let's see here. From Philip Shim, does CloudSync have capabilities like compression and dedupe to optimize cloud storage size? So at this point in time, the answer is no, it does not do the dedupe and compression, but it is something that we are looking at adding as a feature. So from Philip again, does CloudSync allow one to specify the AWS location, Toronto or Montreal, for data residency considerations? Absolutely. So when you create your S3 bucket, you choose where that bucket is located. So for data residency purposes, you go and tell it where that bucket is, and you create that ahead of time, and then you go and put it to that bucket in that location. So from Matt, the question was, in the demo, I'm using AWS-based NetApp ONTAP Cloud to sync to the S3, all keeping within the AWS. Yes, that is what is happening in this scenario. However, you can go and do this from an on-premises NFS or CIF source, and it's exactly the same process. You just point it to the source and the destination, and it goes and brokers the communications out to the cloud. From Daniel Melkor, when would we not want to use CloudSync? Well, that's a excellent question. So CloudSync is excellent at moving the data out to the cloud to an S3 bucket for you. I have not seen a use case when you're wanting to go and take the NFS to S3 or the CIF to an S3. I think you're limited on your imagination on how you want to go and use it. I don't really think that there's a use case where you wouldn't want to use that, because it is so much faster than sending the data over an rsync connection. Plus, it does an incremental forever for you. And when you go and combine that with versioning, you can have longer-term retention capabilities. So you're combining the best of our data transfer knowledge with Amazon's inexpensive and effective object-based storage. So from Philip, he likes to listen to the NetApp private storage webinar if available. Okay, absolutely. Thank you, Philip. There is one that has been done in the past, and I'm not sure if it's available for consumption at this point, but we will go and make that recommendation for the NetApp private storage team. Right. So from Brandon Chase, how does CloudSync really differ from AltaVault and Fabric Pool features in 9.2? Are they technically achieving the same thing? So for those that don't know, AltaVault does a backup type solution that does encryption, deduplication, and compression out to the cloud from an AltaVault either appliance or AltaVault virtual device out in the cloud. The AltaVault is more of a longer term retention type solution. where you are looking at a highly compressed, highly effective tape backup type solution out to the cloud, where an excellent use case that we've found for this is where you need to go and get your data out to the cloud quickly, run analytics against that data, and it is in a more accessible scenario. For those that don't know, Fabric Pools is a new feature that we're adding where we're able to go and incorporate an S3 bucket into a NetApp ONTAP aggregate that allows for storage tiering. So the use case for the Fabric Pools is more of a cold storage scenario where you don't want to go and keep your expensive disks holding stale data, where you can go and set up policies with your Fabric Pools to automatically tier your cold data off to the S3 bucket, thereby reducing the cost of your expensive data or the amount that you need. So they're not in competition with each other. They're more of a complementary solution to go and address different aspects. Sami Sahi asks, and how will it integrate with my on-premises storage? Excellent question. As long as the data broker has communications capabilities to your on-premises storage, you'll be able to go and have that connect to it. Amazing solution for you if you want to go and send some of the data out to the cloud. As long as there's a communications mechanism, you're able to go and get that all integrated. All right, Alt of Alt. Suheed Christie asked, where can we set the retention period? So the retention policy, this is more of like a snap mirror setting. So because to go and get a longer term retention, you would need to go into your S3 bucket and turn on versioning control. And if we go into S3 and I go into my services for S3, maybe. And let's go look for my bucket, click on the bucket, and see now we have the data inside there. We can go and click on management of this bucket to go and turn on lifecycle management analytics, or we can go and turn versioning on. Now, the important thing to remember when you're turning your versioning on, this is a one-way transition for you. You cannot turn versioning off afterwards. You can only suspend versioning. And then inside your versioning is where you go and set your retention period for your versions. Now, and all the other aspects of what the versioning does for you is that it actually goes and keeps extra copies of that data. So it can increase the amount of data storage being consumed for you. So what is the storage grid solution from Jimmy Farney? So Storage Grid is a NetApp product that does object-based storage and can do that for you on premises. And so it is a piece of hardware that you would purchase from NetApp. Question from Roger Pay. Sources should be already deduped, right? It does not matter if the source is deduped or not, because when we send it out to the cloud, it gets rehydrated out in the cloud because the S3 bucket is not aware of the NetApp dedupe processes. From Deepak Malik, are there additional complexities in setting relationships if a customer plans to use an on-premises broker? The only thing that you have to make sure is that your on-premises broker has communications capabilities to your S3 bucket, so over the web, that it's been shared out for that, or through a private network, and that it's able to go and talk to the on-premises environment, and that's all that has to happen. Landy Davis, does NetApp Cloud Sync support AWS3 in the Gov Cloud region? As long as your account has access to the Gov Cloud, you are able to go and connect to that S3 in your Gov Cloud, because it is all based on your credentials. It is not based on outside credentials being logged inside the S3 bucket or inside the Cloud Sync Manager. Chandri, it is only supported with S3 as the destination when we use other public cloud as well. I mean, do we have similar problem with public clouds as well? So Chandan T-Roy wants to know if we can only use the S3 as the destination. At this current version, it's S3 or Storage Grid are your two options, but we are constantly adding additional options and developing on that. If there are specific ones that you want us to go and focus on, send an email to our Cloud Solution Architecture team, and we will forward that into our engineering group to go and make sure that we start looking at how to make that a reality. So a question from Tung Pham is, you spoke about the number of files synced. What is the amount of data per hour? So this really comes down to your to the speed of your link and the size of the data broker that you are setting up. Because this is a multi-synced scenario, multi-threaded scenario, it can do multiple threads up to the cloud, and it can potentially saturate your pipe that you're using to do it. So, but you can go and set some of the parameters to go and say, I only want to go and take up 50%. So it really comes down to what you have configured in your environment for the data link between them. Again, we were doing terabytes in half an hour. From Jitendra Jadhav, is the data encrypted while in transit and at rest in AWS? So based on how you've set up your S3 bucket will determine if it is encrypted at rest. As for the encrypted in transit, it is broken up and sent in over your pipe that you've set up. So I'm not 100% sure if the encryption is in flight on that when it goes over the wide area network, but I can certainly go and look that up. If you could send me an email on that, Jitendra. My email address is dickmeis, DICKMEIS @netapp.com. So what is the URL for the $100 bonus? Well, let me go and pop that in here, and so that we get that to everybody. All right, there you guys should have the URL for that. Okay. Yes. How do we access the data once synced to S3 from S3 to on-premises client? So to access your data in S3 is very straightforward. Let's go back in here, and we go back to objects, and you go into your information that's located in there. You see that you can download the file directly from there by clicking on the link, and we're getting an access denied because I have not set permissions for anyone to access that. But it is the same way that you would access any of your other S3 information out in the cloud. From Matt Sebel, what high-level requirements need to be in place to copy data from an on-premises filer to an S3 bucket? What you need is to have the data broker created, and that data broker needs to be able to talk to both the on-premises filer and the S3 bucket. So whether that you do that over a VPN connection, a private link between the two, or if you go and set up for that to go and have access into your environment over the internet, it just needs to have communications rights. So from Arul, we have, can we archive the sync data and have a point-in-time snapshot? So the sync data out in the cloud, being on S3, the only thing that you can do is do the S3 versioning control to have point-in-time snapshots of that. So it is based on what S3 provides for you. So from Varun, will the destination data format be object storage? Absolutely, yes. The destination data format will be object store data, and you can tag it as needed inside there. Would Cloud Sync work with other storage vendors like Quantum? Absolutely. We are completely agnostic to what the source NFS is. I could have put up a Linux box, created an NFS export on a Linux box, and set that as the source port. As long as we have permissions to access that NFS or CIF store, we can go and use that as a source for sending that out to S3. Are there customer SLAs associated with Cloud Sync? So Philip, the SLAs are what you set up to go and be there, down to automatic scheduled sync for every hour, but it will also monitor for changes inside your source from the data broker. So the data broker will do a validation of the source NFS mount and see if there's any change data that's happened in that, and start cataloging that, and can potentially go and set that up to go and send out immediately for you. The size of the target will be larger than the NFS source. So from Roger, will the size of the target be larger than the NFS? So your S3 bucket grows as it needs to grow, and you only get charged on the consumption that you send out there. So you are not restricted on the amount of data other than whatever the max settings are for the S3 bucket, which I do not believe that they have restricted that in most areas. So another question from Daniel is, does the source need to be NetApp? Absolutely, the source does not, and I will repeat that, does not need to be on a NetApp controller. It can be any CIFS or NFS export or share. So from Rankin, does NetApp anticipate end users will generate significant savings over time by using Cloud Sync versus conventional backup by virtue of reducing the transmission in smaller bytes? So the question is, will this reduce your cost? So when you're syncing your data out to the cloud, there's no ingress costs associated from Amazon to go and bring that data in. It comes down to what your cost in the S3 bucket is going to be to go and manage that in there. The way that we do our billing on it is that we bill per relationship, per hour that you have that relationship syncing. So will there be cost savings? Potentially, but again, this is not a conventional backup scenario. This is more of a get the data out to the cloud and get it all working for you the way that you need it to work out in the cloud for your analytics and making that available for other uses. If you're looking to do traditional backup, then replacing that with an AltaVault is probably your best bet. But if you want to send an email off to our cloud team to go, and we can go and have an architectural discussion with you to find out what works best for you. Can Cloud Sync support AWS Gracia? So at this point in time, it's just S3 buckets. Or if you're talking about the EFS, we can take from an EFS to the S3 bucket, but I do not believe we're supporting the Gracia at this point in time. From Philip again, does NetApp provide a tool to help size the pipe bandwidth? We do not currently have a tool to help you size the bandwidth for that, but we can go and work with you to go and figure out what's the best solution for you and how to go and configure it. And by setting up a 1 hour solution architecture environment, we can go and do that for you. From Dan Arturutino, can the data be accessed with an NFS mount? So the S3 is not accessed as an NFS mount. Once it gets out to the cloud, it has access as an object store. The source obviously will be an NFS or a CIFS mount. Varun, on the same context, different number of versions can be stored. So how many versions can be stored? That comes down to the policies that you set and the limitations that Amazon sets on that. That is completely controlled by the S3 bucket that says zero. NetApp has no insight into the limitations on the versions that can be kept inside the S3 bucket. From Rankin, are there any source destinations cloud broker simulations set up in a test environment of some sort that can be used for demonstration purposes? So at this point in time, we're just getting people to go and do the 14-day free trial to go and set up their demo environments. If you go and engage with our solutions architecture team, we can certainly help with getting that set up and in a demo for a customer or for yourselves. Please reach out to us and we can certainly help. What is the cost of Cloud Sync? So if we go back into cloud.netapp.com, the costing, we go to services, Cloud Sync service, and we can go into this here, and it goes into a lot of the details on what the pricing is going to be on that. It all depends on what your relationships are, the number you have. So for 1 to 5 relationships, it's 15 cents per hour per relationship. For 6 to 20, it's 10 cents an hour. For 20 plus, it is 8.5 cents. Deepak asked what the pricing is. Again, just went over that. Since dedupe on the source so from Roger, dedupe on source, will the dedupe back so the size of the target should be larger than the source since the source is already deduped? So yes, because it rehydrates that, it will be larger at the destination than at the source because it does not enforce the deduplication, because dedupe is done at the block level and not at the file level. Can we restore the entire NFS share to a point in time from the Cloud Sync? Absolutely, you can do a reverse sync with that to go and bring the data back. You can also take the individual file and from the NFS or from the S3 store and mount that back into your environment as a secondary location and copy that entire whatever you need out, or just copy the individual file out as needed from the S3 bucket directly. So Roger's questioning what I mean by he rehydrated. So basically, when we say rehydrated, it means that the data is recombined and is not taking the dedupe blocks, because deduplication removes the additional blocks that are duplicated from one file to another. When we rehydrate, we just go and take that entire file, and it is sent out as a full copy of that file, not as a deduplicated file. So if you're familiar with NetApp Snap Mirror, it goes and sends the data over in a dedupe format, because that does it all at the block level. But again, this is at the file level. So think of it as I'm doing a drag and drop of a file from one side to another. Multivolt webinar. Thank you. So question is from Daniel is, are there user-focused tools for recovery from S3? Absolutely, you can do a restore of that and do a sync back using the same web-based tool to go and get the data back. And it depends on the permissions you've given to your users. So from Varun, is this just the cloud sync pricing, or is there other pricing for the cloud services aside from the S3s? The cloud aspects that you may have to end up paying for is for the EC2 instance that runs the cloud sync data broker. So if we go into my services here and I go into EC2, you'll see that I have, let me just, I have the CS demo, and that is a cloud sync data broker that is set up for that. And that is what you're paying for out in the cloud on top of it. If you are doing this on premises instead of in an on-cloud version of the data broker, then you would have no additional cost other than the having that on-premises data broker, whatever it costs you to set that up, and you're on-premises for a server, etc. Once the data gets to S3, what can I do against the data? You can run all kinds of great analytics against it. You can go and use any of the tools that are available from Amazon to go and run queries against it. You can manipulate it as need be. You're limited by your imagination on what you can do with the S3 data broker information. Question from Deepak is, how do you set up for the 14-day trial? Well, let's go and do that right now. So when we go to cloud.netapp.com, you just click on the 14-day free trial. And once you want to go and set this up, okay, well, I'm logged in already. So let me open up a different browser. So if I go to cloud.netapp.com, go to services, cloud sync service, click on the 14-day free trial, and here you sign up for it. You just enter your information, a username, password, company name, agree to it, and sign up, and then you will have access to it to go and create the data broker or whatever is needed at that point in time. Very straightforward and fully gets you your 14-day trial. No credit card needed. So from Arul, how do I mount S3 as an NFS mount? And the S3 does not mount as NFS mounts. It mounts as an object store. So an example of running a query against the bucket. So if we go into S3 and you want to go and run analytics against it, you can run an EMR against it. and just point it to that S3 bucket, and it'll go and analyze the data for you. You can go into Athena, run Athena queries against that data set. So set the data up in there, run full data on it. Again, whatever you can do with your Amazon services, you can go and do with the S3 bucket that's there. Right. Is there a plan for CloudSync ever work with Glacier storage? So that's an interesting use case scenario to go and send it out to Glacier. You could potentially take your S3 bucket and send the data out to Glacier from there, but we have not done any testing on that going out to Glacier at this point in time. That's actually a very interesting use case, and I will bring that back to our engineers and see what they think about that. All right, and that was the end of the questions. We are coming to the top of the hour. Thank you so very much for joining. This webinar has been recorded and will be sent out to the attendees. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate your time and hope to see you soon.